All right, my name's Devin Sundick with The Catch today, and we are going to be going over an interesting topic I don't see a lot on the internet, and that is loading modern calibers like 30-06 with black powder. Now, some people don't say that 30-06 is that modern, but because it's over 100 years old. But I would actually say that anything newer than in the 1890s or the 1880s, when cartridges were invented, till about the 1920s, a lot of the calibers they use smokeless powder today were loaded with black powder at once. So all we're doing is really going back to the basics. Now you might be saying, why would you want to do this? Well, there's three main reasons. One, it's really cheap, especially for me. I'm into muzzle loading. I prefer flintlocks, but I do have some Pyrex lying around, and I don't really use this very much anymore. So for me, using a component that is available and that I'm not going to use is way more affordable than buying a brand new powder that I may not need. So affordability is one. But even if you were buying black powder, all of these components, assuming you're not paying for the brass, assuming you were reusing brass, makes this process very, very affordable. Okay. The next component that we're going to talk about is primers. You use the same primer that you would use if you were reloading smokeless powder. And then bullets. We're using these same bullets that we would normally use. This is a 150 grain bullet. Now this gun I do not intend to shoot elk with, right? So a lot of people associate 30-06 with taking bigger game like bears and elk and things like that, and they associate it with heavy recoil. But what I can do is I can load it with black powder, and it performs much more like a 308 or a 30-30, and I could use this for deer, and it's not going to have as much recoil. So I could give this to my wife, or I could give it to a youth, and it's not going to be quite as scary. Now, some misconceptions about black powder. Cleaning, right? A lot of people think that black powder is dirty, and it is dirty compared to smokeless powder. But the chore of cleaning black powder is not as difficult as one may assume. So all I did there was I just took out the previous primer. You can do that pretty quickly. It doesn't take a lot of time. You can bang out a bunch of those in a row and then simply clean your brass. Now this was fired with smokeless powder. This is a reuse. So I didn't have to clean this one, and you won't have to for one round of smokeless powder firing. But when you fire with black powder, you're going to want to clean your cases, and it doesn't really take as long as you might think. Okay, so let's get into the total cost of everything, right? So black powder typically costs somewhere between $20 to $35 per pound, maybe as high as $40 per pound if you're using a premium powder. We're using a 70 grain charge. It's very convenient because there's 7,000 grains in a charge, which means that we're using 1/100th of a pound. So if we take our price of $30 per pound on average and we divide that by 100, we get 30 cents for your powder charge, right? Bullets. I think I overpaid for the bullets, to be honest. But they're very high quality, and I think I'm buying them around 30 cents a piece, maybe 40 cents a piece. We'll use 40 cents just to keep it on the high end. And then primers. These primers cost maybe about another 15 cents a piece. I probably overpaid for the primers because I bought them when everything was on a shortage, but it's no big deal. I really wanted to do this experiment. So, and this is an experiment. So just before you get into the comment section saying that this is necessary, this is unnecessary. This is just for fun, just to kind of see, how things would go, just depending on, a wide variety of different circumstances here. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into the content here. So you might be curious what I'm doing here, and I'm just simply resetting my die, because if you didn't do this before, you're going to have to do it at some point. So to get started, we're going to simply use a mallet on this little Lee loader kit here. See, Lee loader. And it comes with some recipes for smokeless powder if you want to load a smokeless powder, but today I'm loading with some leftover black powder. And you just simply pound it into the casing so it's nice and flush. Then we take a primer, put it in our priming tool. There we go, primer's nice and flush, all right? And then this next part is a little bit tricky, so we're gonna go ahead and take the case out for this. Now you take the case out anyway for this next part, but we're gonna be seating the powder and the bullet next, all right? So to seat it, what we need to do is first start by measuring. So we can see that there's a little gap in between the plunger and the top of my bullet stop here. So what I need to do is I need to unscrew that until the plunger starts to rise. So I'm going to take that out of there and I'm going to screw it manually. To get it started. And right there is where it stops spinning, so I'm going to simply rotate my black part up, my little washer there, and now we are completely measured. So, and now move on to the next part. And now you don't need to do that for every single show. You just need to do that just to get started. I just wanted to show you that step, that it's not as challenging, or you don't have to be fearful of it in any way. For my powder measure, I'm just using a, I think it's a 2 dram, or I don't know how long of a case, but anyway, this is a 410 shotgun shell, and I just cut it to a 75 grain mark. And then I don't fill it all the way up to 75 grains. I leave just a little bit around the lip, and that's honestly just so I don't spill. So I'm putting about 70 grains in each time, not the full 75 grain. And unlike smokeless powder, you do not have to be insanely accurate with black powder. The only thing that you have to make sure of is that the bullet is completely seated against the powder. And the reason for that is because black powder burns more efficiently when it's compressed, and you won't have pressure spikes that could cause damage to your firearm, right? So you put your bullet in there, then we use our bullet seater. That part we don't even need a mallet for, but you could. And then this next part is a little bit tricky, all right? If your bullets are seating great because of neck tension, then you don't need to do this next step. But if they're not seating quite perfectly, you can actually turn this upside down, give it a couple of whacks, and it just seats that bullet in there a little bit nicer, gives it a little bit of a crimp on the end there. So the reason why I'm loading these up is to have a low recoiling round, and if you shake them, you don't hear any powder moving. That means we did it well. That's why I shake mine. So I'm going to do this one more time for you, just so you can see, like, if everything's set up, how quickly you can do this, right? So that's already empty there because we simply emptied out the primers way in advance. there you have it. I don't know how long that took. I wasn't timing it, but it probably takes somewhere between 1 to 2 minutes per shell once you have everything set up and all your primers out. So I could realistically get a box of ammo done in a half an hour. So with that being said, thanks for watching. If you're interested in black powder and more black powder stuff, definitely subscribe to this channel because I am doing some really fun experiments here, some mountain man related activities. So appreciate you for watching and have a great day.